A student at MIT named Nick is a famous hacker. No website cannot be hacked. In addition, Nick also has a beautiful girlfriend named Haley, which makes many boys jealous. But there was a small incident. Nick fell during a running competition, causing him to break his leg and use crutches every day. That day, Nick and his best friend Jonah helped Haley move into the house. In the evening, when the three were resting, Nick's phone received a message from a mysterious hacker. Nick and this hacker always compete with each other. Regardless of who is the best, the enemy hacked Haley's machine and watched every move of them. This makes Nick and Jonah so upset, and then they find out about the hacker's IP address. As expected, the location of the opponent was revealed, and Jonah quickly identified the IP of the mysterious hacker. Early the next morning, they set out to find the opponent. Finally, they arrived in front of a small wooden house at exactly midnight. Nick instructs Haley to lock the car door while he goes in with Jonah. The two carefully stepped into the house before their eyes. This place was extremely messy and dusty, but they had discovered a lot of server wrecks. Suddenly outside, Haley shouted, and the two quickly ran out the door. Just to see that Haley was gone, Nick looked up and saw a mysterious force sucking Haley into the sky, scaring them both. At this time, a white light appeared, making the two people in front of them dark and unable to see anything. Nick opened his eyes and saw people in protective gear pointing at him. Then someone put him in a wheelchair and pushed him into the meeting room. Nick noticed that he can't move. Even the memory in his head had disappeared, and can't remember anything. At this point, the person in charge is Damon. He came in saying that this was an organization specializing in alien research, and Nick was brought here because of contact with aliens, most likely infected with the virus. While talking, Nick had a nosebleed. Damon saw this, and asked these subordinates to take Nick to the hospital room. The next day, Nick was taken to a room again. Damon took the previous video to show him. Nick and Jonah turned away from the screen. On the tree, there is an alien eye staring at them. The opponent that Nick worked so hard to track down is an alien. After watching the video, Nick was taken to his room. On his way, he saw Haley still in a coma. Nick wanted to go to the doctor but was held by the medical staff and escorted to the ward after returning to Nick's room. He always felt that something was wrong with this place. He was thinking that when there was a familiar sound in the vent, it was Jonah. Jonah told Nick that he was also locked in his room. After a few days of observing, he found that the people there are all doing strange things, and he says he is not comfortable staying there. Instinct told Nick that there was a problem here, so he decided to escape from prison, while the medical staff was not paying attention. He bit a piece of water pipe, then took out the biscuit and crushed it with his wheelchair. Then put the crumbs into the infusion tube and blow into the password lock. Take out the password successfully. Nick was quick to tell Jonah about this, but Jonah's voice sounded weak. The next day, I went to see Jonah as usual. Suddenly, the hallway lights started flashing. The warning bell rang. The medical staff left Nick to run out. Nick saw deep scratches on the wall, and he's curious to know what that is. Nick dragged Haley, who was in a coma, little by little to the door, but unexpectedly, his arm is too short to touch the key, so he had to use a transmitter to push the button. At this time, Damon brought his pursuer to gently hold Nick's hand, so Nick went into a deep coma again. When Nick woke up, he discovered that his leg had turned into a tripod, which made him extremely excited. Nick suddenly understood where the scratch in the hallway came from. Nick moved on a tripod and kicked open the main door, kicked all the doors into the elevator, and took Haley with him. They hitchhiked in a woman's car, but the woman seems to have some mental abnormality with the way she talks non-stop. Nick was a bit scared, so he made an excuse to go to the gas station and tried to call for help but couldn't. I looked out the window and saw Haley getting into the truck. Nick quickly threw the phone away before we could run to the door. The truck sped away. The truck driver saw Nick throw the rearview mirror, and bewildered, stepped on the accelerator and ran away. The girlfriend is also very understanding about pulling out a gun and forcing the driver to stop the truck. They leave him at the side of the road, then steal the truck and run away. Nick drove for a long time until they met a divided road that blocked his way. But no matter which direction he drove, he would still return to his old location. So they should abandon the truck and hide in an abandoned house. When night falls, the two suddenly met Jonah here. He was so worried that he peeled off his glove to reveal a scaly arm. The next day, early in the morning, the three followed the path on the map, preparing to leave. But it was not long before they met a police checkpoint. They were about to hit the accelerator and ran off, but the police soon installed a stop device. Jonah ran to the control room, preparing to take down the stone partition. Unexpectedly, this place was planted with a bomb, and Jonah was shot. At this point, he could only breathe a sigh of relief and say his final goodbyes to Nick. He used the last bit of strength to use his arm to break the stone partition and help them both get out. Jonah punches the ground hard, knocking out all enemies, while Nick and Haley escape smoothly. Nick, watching his best friend dying right in front of him, is the worst pain of his life. Damon and his subordinates are already waiting for them on the way. Nick was determined to avenge Jonah's death. He stepped on the accelerator, but Damon threw nails into the road. All the tires exploded, and the truck overturned. Haley was taken to the helicopter, leaving only Nick on the ground. Only now did he know that the number on Damon's body was the same as the number on the mysterious hacker. It turns out everything was a trap. Damon also denied that the three of them were a masterpiece that combined humans and alien science and technology. Nick couldn't bear such an ending. Anger engulfed him, and he collected all the energy, transferred it to the tripod, and emitted red light lines. Nick started running frantically through countless obstacles on the big bridge. Right now, his running speed surpasses the speed of sound. Even bullets can't keep up. It looks like he broke an invisible wall. At this moment, Damon appeared from the opposite side, taking off his hat to reveal his mechanical brain. It turns out he's not human either. The lens continuously stretches out to appear as a space station-like structure. The constant 23,541 is the number on Nick's arm. A final zoom-out view reveals the whole ship. The lens continues to move out. In the vast universe, there is a giant spaceship flying towards another spaceship.